Hey everyone, thought I'd just do a 2010 favorite story element review, just to point out what I like about these guys. Here we, these- I'm only doing off one canister because obviously I got them all stacked up, so I can't even bother bring them all down and organize them. But anyways, just one point of the favorite part of the 2010 story favorite favorite part about it is that we then get to see the fight between Martinui and Pterodax into robots, and Tahu and all the other characters being revamped into Baramagna forms. Of course, obviously, this is supposed to be 2001 form, but more likely, I don't know why they say that, even though there is a difference between that and 2010 persona. But 2010 persona is the only is actually to suit this armor. But Wikipedia Biosector says this is his 2001 form in an adapted state, it's still wearing adaptive armor, adapting to the Baramagna environment. So I think his 2001 form, still wearing adaptive armor, adapting to the 2010 environment in the atmospherics of Baramagna, which might be there's a difference between that and the 2001 thing. But at least with that, he gets to fit the golden armor in that 2010 state. But that's the favorite part because we get to see Tahu evolving from 2001, dipped into silver liquid, becoming 2002 Nuba form. I think 6 years later from that, because 2002 is where he transformed to Tuna, and 2008 is where he become really formates into really formates himself in 2008 in a jungle form in the swamps, and then 2 years later he becomes Baramagnified. Of course, it was the Mask of Life that kind of reverted, that kind of challenged, that kind of like just kind of reverted the double charge of his power, but that's what it means. His powers was reduced back to regular level instead of charged up level as the five others, while the five still remained. And that's the favorite part about that. Rakshi, we get to see like a Baramagna version of it. That when it comes to invade, Skrull represent that because of the first defeat, they revamped their armors to act a bit because they could act a bit weak, but they could then play violent on the inside. Of course, despite it, it does look the body state does look a bit pointless. Nectan, we get to see like we then have another Skakti character other than the sixth Paraka we've encountered that 8 years ago. Gresh more likely to revamp his armor because they did do sequels to the thousand say that they do sequels to the Thousand Triumph. I would have imagined to see the transformation of Gresh's original armor to his 2010 armor in that kind of way, which I did write that in my kind of sequel treatment, which I call Quest for the Valley, and the sequel to that Journey's End treatment. Technically, 4 years ago, I wrote two script treatments. I wrote two script treatments of the Legendary Born sequels. And the way I've done it, but I can't show you that because it's going to take me all day to read that. But yeah, Gresh to see the formation on that kind of, and Takanuva to be more likely to be revamped into a galaxy state, by the look of him. And Pterodax is dead, and one of the things I knew right is because this is focusing on the story between Martinuva's Pterodax. This is something that whoever wanted Pterodax dead has been waiting for. There's that Pterodax was dead in that year, because after many attempts, like 2000, like with Bionicle Mask of Light, we thought he's dead because the door when that Takuta was carrying crushed him. Everyone thought he was dead already. But they found out. It turned out he was back alive inside a Maxilo's robot, right here. Which we found out remember that giant container filled with green liquid that they call antigerms in Voinui? That's actually him. I mean, he was in Voinui all that time, and an accident destroyed it. An accident destroyed the container that he had to find bodies to survive and temporarily on Matora's body before they went to somewhere either before or after they got into the cord going down to Marinui, and then after they got Pterodax and Matora's body, then he ran into Maxilos. And when the Baraki destroyed it, that led to a conclusional question whether he's dead or not. In 2008, which they then introduced his name Pterodax was then his actual name Pterodax was introduced, they said he's in a hidden location that's kind of fully guarded from physical beings, which he isn't one of them. And then the Dwellers in Darkness, the Tauhaga, had followed his movement, which they said they could find his location, which they said is somewhere beneath the Colosseum. And when they got in there, technically they didn't focus much. The Dwellers in Darkness was not finished yet until the end of 2008. It turned out where Pterodax is actually inside the Matorian Universe robot body. That's the what do you mean by Matorian Universe robot? That's the name of the body I call the old body, the Matanui, the old body that Martineau used to take over before Pterodax took it from him in the end of 2008. The robot is supposed to wake up after 1,000 years. Because I call that Matorian Universe robot body, because Great Spirit obviously is toxic. Because Great Spirit obviously it's referring to the guy himself, Matanui. Of course, he's now an ex-Great Spirit because of banishment, and now he's just hibernating in the Mask of Life. Yeah. Then, so he kind of won on that. So we thought he was dead on there, and then by the time it was the Bar Magna fight between Martinui and Pterodax, his death was the moment everyone's been waiting for, and now we found out. Of course, there were two different ways. The green planet from which the Matanui saga, for example, showed with Pterodax's head being crunched by the planet. But it turns out, according to the comic, it was actually a blue planet. It was actually a blue planet fragment that struck right on his left side of the head, and then bang, his head exploded. Which what I mean, how that killed is because he's antidermis, and antidermis can be destroyed by burning it. If you've read most of the Bionicle.com stuff, like what happened to Makuta Tridax, what happened to the Makuta and Cardinoi, even the flames could have destroyed their antidermis. So the fragment must have exploded. Must have caused the robot head to explode, which then in turn counts creating flames, and the antidermis would have burned. So that's how they say he's dead. And technically, that's pretty much all I can say about this. And I know people don't like Hero Factory, but technically everyone has it in their possession, and technically I might as well tell you a review. I'll tell you a review on that, which, because I got them on home video, Rise of the Rookies and Savage Planet, I could say the good and cons about that. I'll take time to try and keep on that. I'll try and think about to explain Hero Factory, the least favorite parts and the least favorite parts and the favorite parts about that. Then we'll get to other future films to talk about later. And yes, and in case everyone's wondering, yes, I did see YouTube videos about the 2015 Bionicle, which I think it's going to be a reboot, because if this is what they finished off, and then they said they canceled means cutting. That means they ended it by cancellation, and bringing it back is why I think, and bringing it back again after like a couple of years, whatever. That's why I think that the 2015 Bionicles as a reboot. So I think it's gonna be a reboot in 2015. I mean, like they're gonna redo the same story again, but with kind of like different versions of the 2001 states, which they say there is a 2001 states, and voiced by different people than the ones we know of from these film series and the Glatorian film. So yeah, and as for Greg, and if Bionicle does come back, one thing that the question is, would Greg Farsley come back to it, or will there be a new writer, or will be the new writer for it? Because according to what Greg had been doing now is family occupation and focusing on the Hero Factory story. So yeah, I did see the 2015 pics, but I can only know if it's true. If the Wikipedia site, look on the page of Bionicle, it says, despite the cancellation, I have to wait for Wikipedia to say, despite the cancellation of Bionicle, it has announced to come back in 2015. If I find that on Wikipedia, then I think then I know it's coming back. So expect what's happening in 2000. So try to expect any new updates coming. Try to expect anything new coming up in 2015, and Taomat188 is signing off. This time to do a Hero Factory television series review. Coming right up.